The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest stories in the NBA.
The Phoenix Suns absolutely decimate the Los Angeles Lakers in the second half.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast.
The Phoenix Suns absolutely decimate the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. I've got a lot of numbers to throw at you because Colin Gillespie might just be a budding star. Dillon Brooks continues to do the things that Dillon Brooks continues. So this is going to change as the season progresses and as Dillon Brooks continues to transform into a borderline all-star level player. But day by day, that Houston Rockets Kevin Durant trade looks better and better. Every single day, this trade gets better and better. I think the Houston Rockets are going to miss Dillon Brooks, as said in the offseason, more than some people are letting on, but his ability to continuously hit tough shots, he has now added this turnaround jump shot that he likes. He likes to do it from his right side. He'll kind of pivot over to his right side and put it over the defender. Like, it's kind of a clunky looking shot, but it's nylon every single time. But first, let me get into this. The Suns tonight, I thought they were going to get boat raced at first. Now, to be fair, I picked this team to win tonight's game for a multitude of reasons. One of them being the Lakers defense, I just don't believe in as much as everyone else because, and I'm not going to act like everyone is super, in the Los Angeles Lakers defense, but they're 17th in defensive rating and they're really old. That's not a young team. It's not a spry team. Yeah, DeAndre Ayton's 26, but one of the problems with DeAndre Ayton is his motor issue. He doesn't want to play every night. Luka Doncic is not an old player, but he's sloppy on defense. Austin Reeves is like a pesky defensive player, but he's small. LeBron James is old. He's a net negative defensively now. How many times did Dillon Brooks go up against LeBron James today and have no issues with it whatsoever? That team obviously would do the Anthony Davis-Luka Doncic trade 100 times out of 100 again, but they miss his presence defensively. And the Suns got into a track meet with them. But to start this game, Luka Doncic had 20 points in the first quarter. It's the most points a player has had on the Phoenix Suns in one quarter all game, surpassing Anthony Edwards, which is kind of funny because they also lost that game too. But he had 20 points in that first quarter, and he was cooking the Suns. And I don't even think the Suns' defense was that bad. Luka is going to get away with that little shoulder rub he does. Everyone's got it. James Harden and Allen Iverson. James Harden got in trouble for traveling every time in a step, or never got in trouble for traveling in a step back three. And Allen Iverson, never got in trouble for carrying the ball. Some guys just have a signature move that referees just kind of let slide, especially in the regular season. And that little elbow that Luka Doncic gives players in the low post, in the mid-range, and oftentimes in his step-back three, they're just not going to call. And I thought Ryan Dunn was superb on him early. Obviously, he's not probably a little bit of minute restrictions given that wrist injury. And Luka took advantage of it. And it didn't matter who was on him. Dillon Brooks, even Ryan Dunn once or twice. Colin Gillespie got on him, which I thought was kind of funny. At one point, he literally ragdolled Colin Gillespie. Colin Gillespie ended up having the last laugh. But I thought the Lakers were on the precipice of kind of bulldozing over the Suns. And part of that was compounded by the Devin Booker injury, which we'll talk more about in the last segment. But part of it was compounded by, the Suns are tied 31-31 in that first quarter, but Luka Doncic is on a bit of a heater. And your best player, who was starting to look good, started off this game 4 for 7, just got hurt. And I'm thinking to myself, even at halftime, yeah, man, they're up in this game. I don't know how they're going to keep this rhythm going. You have to have consistent shot makers. But one of the things that I didn't run and rack through my mind is maybe they just have those consistent shot makers. And we'll get to Colin Gillespie and Dillon Brooks in just a second, but it is a testament to what the Phoenix Suns are doing, especially defensively. They don't need to have this elite level offense, and they don't right now. They've fallen out of the top 10 in offensive rating. Right now, this game not included tonight, the Suns, let me do some quick math. The Suns have played now their 21st game of the season. The offensive rating has the Suns, at the 21st game of the season. So it is officially updated. It wasn't 5 minutes ago, but it is now. And the Suns are the 14th ranked team offensively. They're not this elite level offensive team. They're somewhere right in the middle. And defensively, they're kind of hovering over in that same place in defensive rating, 14th. But what they do in stints, especially in that second quarter, is get on these massive runs that are tailored off of the Suns forcing these turnovers and getting into track meets with the Los Angeles Lakers. Tonight, the Suns, for some reason this isn't loading here, but for some reason, I had the total turnovers here. For some reason, the total turnovers aren't loading on ESPN's, but the Suns forced some turnovers tonight in that second quarter that led to easy buckets the other direction. I apologize. I don't know why ESPN statistics in front of me are just kind of dumbing out on me, but they don't have the turnovers on here, probably because there were so many for the Lakers, and why would you want to make fun of their national team? But the Suns in the second quarter pushed the Lakers around defensively, made them get into a track meet, and got a lot of easy buckets at the basket. One thing that has been a little underrated for this team this year is just how good they are passing the basketball. And it has really helped out players like Oso Ighodaro have a role in this offense. Multiple times, even when the Suns threw a turnover out of it, they were looking for the first one that pops out of me is in the first quarter, Oso Ighodaro finds Ryan Dunn on a backdoor cut. Beautiful pass, but the ball goes out of bounds because Ryan Dunn just wasn't expecting it. This team's ability to pass and find the open man, the way the ball doesn't just stick in players' hands all the time like it did last season, is a night and day difference from last year to this year. The ball is constantly moving with this team, and it makes it really hard to defend, especially an older team like the Lakers, who got to move laterally to the right. Now they got to move laterally to the left. Don't get caught flat-footed because Colin Gillespie or Dillon Brooks might just drive right by you. And the Suns used the kryptonite that was the Suns' kryptonite last year. The Lakers are an older team that doesn't play a lot of defense. And when I say older team, I'm not saying that they're, the Golden State Warriors right now, but they're not necessarily a young team, and their top to bottom players don't really play a lot of defense. Austin Reeves, not a great defender. Luka Doncic, bad defender. LeBron James, at this point, bad defender. And this Suns team, who's younger, twitchier, more athletic, and likes to get out in pace and run, made the Lakers play their game today. How many times in that second quarter did the Suns find a free outlet pass, beautiful pass, whether it was to Mark Williams or to Dillon Brooks, underneath for easy buckets? They just caught the Lakers napping, and save me the Lakers are tired thing. LeBron James, first off, did not play yesterday in their back-to-back. Secondly, it was the second night of a back-to-back when they were at home, and they also played the Pelicans last night. It's not like they were in a dogfight with the Houston Rockets. I don't even know what the score was to that Pelicans game yesterday. I'm just curious what it was as well, if we're talking about a back-to-back. But they beat the Pelicans last night 133-121. Like, what are we doing here? But again, it backs up my points here as I'm looking at it. The Lakers have allowed 118, 119, 121 points, and now 125 points in their last 4 games. And the Suns turned it on their head. The Suns completely turned it on their head for the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. And going back, just so we're clear, again, my eyes don't deceive me watching the game. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love watching the game, guessing what I think the statistics are going to say, and then it tells me, I actually watched the game. My eyes weren't lying to me. The Lakers had 22 turnovers tonight. Would you like to know how many points were conceded off turnovers? Go ahead. Take a guess. 32. And the Suns' fast break points tonight, take a guess. Dude, this is crazy. If you're in your car driving right now, or if you're watching this post game, pause this, take a guess at how many fast break points the Phoenix Suns had tonight, and then guess how many the Lakers had. The Suns had 28 fast break points tonight. The Lakers had 2. The Suns played their game and didn't let the Lakers get into theirs. You know what the Lakers like to do? Slow the game down. Be a stagnant offense, but in a good way. They'll give it to Luka Doncic. They'll let him cook. They'll let him get his buckets. They'll want to get to the foul line. And the Suns didn't allow them to do that tonight. Here's another statistic for you. The Lakers average 20 free throws made, not 20 free throws attempted a game. They average 20 free throws made a game. The Lakers have not been a good three-point shooting team ever since LeBron James has been there. They make their money getting down the lane, bullying the opposing team, and foul baiting, of course. Austin Reeves is a notorious foul baiter. Luka Doncic is. LeBron James was foul baiting a ton in this game. But credit to the Phoenix Suns, who are physical but don't foul. That was brought up last night by my guy Hayden Silly of Clutch Points. The Lakers average 20 free throws made a game. They had 15 free throw attempts tonight, meaning the Suns did not let them play their game.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
The Detroit Pistons defeat the Atlanta Hawks to win back-to-back games to get back on a winning streak, but it was not pretty. It was a really ugly win.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast.
Let's start with just breaking down this game. The Pistons, I was at this game, credentialed, and this game was very ugly to watch. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This was not a very fun game to watch. It was very nasty. It was a nasty basketball game. The Pistons win 99-98. Looked like a score from a mid-2000s game, or maybe a later 2000s game. Mid-2000s was like 70, 80, whatever, but maybe later 2000s, early 2010s. That's what this kind of looked like. 99-98, the Pistons pull it off. They had a chance at the end of this game. They had 4 consecutive attempts at the free throw line with a chance to ice the game. And Karras, who I just said I was going to defend at the end of the podcast, but it is what it is, missed 2 straight free throws. And then Danis missed 2 straight free throws and gave the Hawks a chance to win or tie the game, both chances after those misses. Not a great way to close the game at all, but they pull off the win, and a win's a win. And before we go any further, I want to make this clear. The Pistons are 17-4. You should be incredibly happy with that start. They have had an absurdly just fantastic start to the season. Absolutely fantastic start to the season. And no one's taking that away from them. However, I forget what coach it was, said that you should never accept what you do in wins that you wouldn't in a loss. So just because you win the game doesn't mean you ignore everything that was going wrong, everything that may have gone wrong, or mistakes that have happened. But it's obviously better that the Pistons are having we're having some of these conversations that we're going to have after a win. The fact that the Pistons are finding ways to win games that aren't necessarily the prettiest, like the end of the game against Miami wasn't great, but they pulled it off still. This game against Atlanta wasn't great, but they pulled it off still. You'd rather talk about it after a win than you would after a loss. So give them credit for that. And you don't ever sure apologize for a win. With that said, though, the Pistons, I thought in this game Duncan Robinson didn't play, and you got to see just how much he was dearly missed. The Pistons only made 5 threes in this game. Only 5. They shot 5 of 26 from 3, 19%. He was sorely missed. They needed his spacing. They needed his off-ball movement. The Hawks went to his zone defense, and it really hurt the Pistons for a large stretch of this game. You saw how much they need Duncan Robinson on the floor and why J.B. Bickerstaff has been playing him so much. So maybe anyone who is still questioning the Duncan Robinson signing, if there's anyone still questioning that, you saw his importance here tonight. Dennis Jenkins got the start. Someone like myself who has been saying he needs to play, he got the start, and he had a very, very poor night. 3 of 16 from the floor. Led the team in shot attempts, which probably shouldn't have happened. He did hustle a ton, still got 8 rebounds for a guard. He was hustling all over the place, but he also had 3 turnovers. Was not very. He went 0 of 8 from deep as well. Was not a good game at all from Dennis. And I thought, especially at the end of the game, really started to hurt the Pistons with how aggressive and how much confidence he was having in his shot. Like, you respect the fact that he has so much confidence, but at the end of the game, the ball was in his hands a little bit too much, and he was dictating a little bit too much of the offense and taking too many questionable shots. You need him to rein it back in a little bit. You feel me? So, they ended up subbing him out at the end of the game, which I understand. Not a great game to have for those, like myself, who have been saying he needs to play. But it's only one game. Hopefully he plays better moving forward. But this was definitely, he picked a bad night to have a bad night. And so did Tobias. Tobias went 2 of 14 in this game. He started off 0 of 6. He also had 3 turnovers. He was really bad in this game. Really struggled against the Atlanta Hawks defense. Pistons, again, without Duncan, Tobias and Dennis picked the worst nights to have their worst night. And the Pistons were able to escape with it because Cade Cunningham, like we've been talking about for the majority of this season, I understand against the Celtics, he missed the free throw. I get it. Okay, he's not perfect. But in the fourth quarter, Cade Cunningham had 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting, including an incredible highlight play with around 20 seconds left in the game. He scored a little too early, I thought. But with how, with him getting to the rim the way he did off of a spin move, split a double team, then went with a acrobatic reverse double clutch layup at the rim to put the Pistons up by 4 with around 20 seconds left in the game. Absolute highlight play, crazy play. The crowd went crazy when he hit it. It was a wild play. And that was back-to-back buckets for Cade at that point. He scored, again, like I said, 8 in the fourth and helped close out the Hawks. And, again, he didn't have the greatest end of game against Boston, but 90% of the time so far this year, one of the main reasons why the Pistons are pulling out wins, or maybe it's ugly, or making sure they're closing out wins that are close, is because Cade Cunningham has been showing up in the fourth quarter and slamming the door shut on the opponents. And he did that in this game against the Atlanta Hawks, which, mind you, he's playing against a really hard matchup here against the Hawks. Dyson Daniels is no easy feat. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, no easy feat. Jalen Johnson, no easy. Like, they have a lot of length and defenders all over the place. And he was able to do what he wanted in the fourth quarter when he turned it up late and helped secure the win for the Detroit Pistons. So, if the biggest takeaway you should have from this game, positive, is that Cade Cunningham is that dude, and he's been showing us that every single game. We all already know this, but it's fun to be able to sit back and just acknowledge it. That, like, the Pistons got themselves a dude, and he continues to prove it. And the end of games. And is he going to be perfect? No, he missed the free throw against Boston, but Michael Jordan didn't make every single one of his shots. I forget what the exact quote is Michael Jordan said. Something about, like, I've taken over 500 potential game-winning shots. I've made only blah, blah. That, you guys heard the quote. I don't know what the exact quote is, whatever. But Cade's not going to be perfect. And was he perfect tonight? Absolutely not. But when the Pistons needed him most to deliver, he delivered, just like he has for 90% of the season. And that's why the Pistons are at 17-4, because their superstar plays like a superstar. Another great spot, or great highlight, I should say, tonight is Jalen Duren. He made his return. He had 21 points, 11 rebounds, 0 assists, which I'm not going to lie to you. We're probably going to have a film breakdown, probably going to have an episode talking just about this, because that part of his game is getting pretty concerning to me. He was 9 of 12. He was bullying inside. He did have a few possessions where he had his dribble drive, got over to the basket, and was able to convert an and one. Like, that's all great to see, and he had a really good night. However, he did have 3 turnovers to 0 assists, and we're seeing this happen a little bit too much with him, where he's having more turnovers than assists. We're not seeing that playmaking because he's so hyper-focused on just scoring the ball in these dribble drives, which, again, it's helping the Pistons right now, and it is a great development. He's having a great year, but he had 3 turnovers tonight. We saw Atlanta do it. We saw Boston do it. If Duren's not going to make the right play out of these when teams help down and start reaching, he's going to turn the ball over, and it's going to be harder for the Pistons to score. You got the first step completed. I'm a threat off the dribble. Defenses have to respect me. I'm a scorer. Now they're paying attention to me. The next step has to be when they send too much help to me, when they send too much attention, he has to be able to kick out. And the frustrating thing is for me, which is why I'm maybe harping on it when others are probably like, cool, he had a double-double, he shot 9 out of 12. Why are you harping on this? I'm harping on this because I know he can make these passes. We've seen him make these passes. We've seen him make some great passes out of the short roll. We saw him do it in the playoffs last year. We know he's a good passer. So that's why I'm harping on it and why it's frustrating for me is because that would really make him just unstoppable. That would be the final step. That's the final completion of his game. He now is a great driver of the basketball. He is an effective driver, scorer when he has the ball in his hands. He's dominating in the paint. He's hitting free throws. All of this stuff. The final step, which we know he has, is to be a playmaker when teams send too much attention to him. He has to be able to start doing this because I think that that's part of the issue the Pistons are having as of late with these turnovers is that guys are getting a lot of tunnel vision. And it's bit them at times. They've escaped it the last 2 games, but it's not something they will continue to get away with. Again, you'll take it in a win. You can criticize yourself in a win. That feels a lot better.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
The Orlando Magic showed the difference between good teams and great teams.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast.
We've been talking a lot about how great the Orlando Magic are at everything. Like their offense is flowing, their defense is flowing. This is a team that in so many ways over the last 10 games really has found their center, has found who they are and what their formula for victory is. And there have been some hiccups along the way, but this is a team that knows exactly what to do to win. And ultimately, the question is, what happens when it doesn't work? What happens when the offense doesn't work? Well, we saw that on Friday night when the defense stepped up. What happens when the defense doesn't work? Well, we saw that a little bit in Boston. Not great, but obviously that game we kind of throw out. What happens when both are not doing what they're supposed to do? What happens when the shots won't go down, when the process isn't netting the results, when defense is a lot tougher than it looks? How does this team respond? How does this team find a way? That is the unknowable question. And if you are a great team, not merely a good team, not merely a playoff team, but a team that can compete against anybody, that can win against anybody, you find a way nonetheless. No matter what you have to do, no matter how ugly it is, no matter how much it doesn't quite go, you bide your time and you wait to get back to your identity. This is what the great teams do. This is what the Magic did in the late aughts. This is what the Thunder do every night, it feels like, when they, pull games out of nowhere. Now, the Chicago Bulls, all due respect to our friends from Locked On Bulls and our friends from Chicago, the Chicago Bulls are not a team that you're necessarily thinking, oh, this is a game where we have to pull out all the stops. They're a team that allows you to make mistakes, but they're a team that still stresses you in some really important ways. And we're going to talk about that and how the Bulls stress the Magic. But at the end of the day, the Magic were down 15 midway through the third quarter. At the end of the day, the Magic went more than 5 minutes of the third quarter without scoring a field goal to fall into that hole. At the end of the day, the Magic found a way to get back into the game. And again, all we're going to care about, all anybody's going to care about is, did you get the win? Could this be the win that gets the Magic the 2 seed, the 3 seed, the 1 seed? Who knows? But every win matters, and it's better to learn lessons while winning than to learn lessons while losing. And how you find your will to win, that's what matters. It doesn't matter how you get it. You know that you will find a pathway to win. And again, this Magic team is frankly good enough that they have multiple ways to win basketball games now. We're not depending on I say this all the time. There's 6 things the Magic have to do to win games. They got to do 5 of them. This team has 10 things they got to do to win games. And against most opponents, they probably got to do 7, maybe 8. But they can get away with just 5 or 6. And you don't want to get in the habit of getting away with 5 or 6. Let me make that clear. Because you have players like Desmond Bain. You have players like Anthony Black. You have players who are capable of stepping up and delivering what you need. The Magic showed the will to win in this game. The will to win in a way that this, frankly, franchise hasn't shown very much over the last 15 years. Not since those heydays of Dwight and Jameer. And I don't want to blow this game out of proportion, but as Desmond Bain said after the game, when I asked him this, being able to will yourself to victory in this moment in a game like this, that's what separates the good teams from the great teams. That's what separates being a nice playoff team to a team that can go deep into the playoffs. And it is just early December. But these lessons are going to be valuable. Desmond Bain led the charge once again. Second straight game with 37 points. He scored 18 of those 37 in the fourth quarter. Took over two very key parts of the game. Second quarter of the game when the Magic were struggling and playing from behind to get back into the game and take a little bit of a lead. And the fourth quarter when the Magic needed baskets. His shot with his three-pointer with about 3:20 to go gave the Magic the lead for good and sparked an 8-0 run that made it a 7-point Magic lead. Enough for them to hang on against this fast-paced Bulls team. Enough, more importantly, to give this team confidence to finish, confidence to make shots, to see that ball go through the basket. This is why the Magic got Desmond Bain, by the way. Not necessarily to hit these clutch shots and to be necessarily the leader of this team, but they got Desmond Bain because he can step into this role when they need him to. It is another offensive weapon. It is another player who can take the lead and take charge, especially with Paolo Banchero out right now. This is why Desmond Bain was so valuable. This is why Desmond Bain has been far worth the cost of what the Magic paid him. But look, it obviously wasn't just Des. It obviously wasn't just Desmond Bain. I'm going to give him the headlines because he came through in the clutch, but it was Anthony Black turning the game with some fast break points and seeing the ball go through the basket in that third quarter to cut into that 50-point lead, to tie the game at the end of the third quarter, to break even in the third quarter because it was tied at halftime. It was Goga Bitadze blocking shots. It was, as Jamal Mosley always likes to say, starts with the defense. The Magic came back and got their offense going because their defense started it up, because their defense started the action. That's who this Magic team is. That is as central to the identity as anything else we want to talk about. But it starts with that will. It starts with that determination. It starts with the will to win. And look, Desmond Bain has that. That guy, as Jamal Mosley said after the game, that guy is a winner. He will do whatever it takes to win. If that means he's a spot-up threat and a gravitational force unto himself, even if he's not taking a ton of threes yet, that's what he'll do. If that means he's the main attacker and he has to drive and be a little bit of a decoy and attack to create for others, that's what he'll do. If the Magic need him to be their leading scorer, as he has been for the last two games, first player since Tracy McGrady to score 37 points in consecutive games, that's what he'll do. That's what a winning player does. And this is what a winning team finds a way to do. The Magic, again, were not perfect. I want to stress that. The Magic were not perfect. In fact, this was probably a B-C game for Orlando. Their defense was in shambles all game. They got sucked into the pace, which I want to talk about a little bit here in a moment. They let Chicago dictate the terms of engagement until that fourth quarter, until the last 18 minutes of this game. And that's when Orlando seized control, and that's when Orlando played their best basketball, put themselves in the best position to win. At the end of the day, all these lessons are great, and all these things the Magic have to improve. Yes, they got to improve them. They can't rest on their laurels and say, oh, we won. As Jamal Mosley said after the game, you can't just flip a switch. But if you're able to pull these games out of nowhere, if you have players who will step up to the plate, then you're cooking with something.